Howdy folks, welcome to the Salt Mine Discord Q&A for September, and if you're watching this on Monday, welcome to Monday's episode of Mingles with Jingles. No announcements to make this week, no sponsors this week, aside from, you lot, everybody who supports me on Patreon, Float Plane, watches my videos, leaves a like, leaves a comment. Thank you to all of you just for doing that. If not for you lot, I'll be stacking shelves in a supermarket somewhere and hating my life. Anyway, let's crack straight on with the questions and see how far we get through this week. So the first question comes from Basement Jesus. It says, Dear Jingles, you've been doing World of Warships and World of Tanks videos for quite some time with the same opening. Have you ever thought of redoing and making a new opening for the videos? Every now and then, I do think about it. But I really like the two openings that I've got. And I don't know if you can remember, I used to have video intros from the World of Tanks and World of Warships videos that were about 20 seconds long, and they look really cool. But I don't know if you guys are like me, but if an intro is longer than 10 seconds, I start losing patience. And so I like to keep them short and sweet, and there's a limit to how much you can actually do in between 5 and 10 seconds in an intro. Plus the World of Tanks one that I got was actually made for me, and I just think it's really, really cool, especially for the people togs cliff diving off the end. And the World of Warships one, I mean, they're functional, they do what they're supposed to do, and plus changing the intros around, I mean, when people hear that music at the beginning of the video for the World of Warships one or the World of Tanks one, you know it's a Jingles video because you remember it. There's a certain amount of brand recognition going on with them at this point. So I do every now and then think about maybe tinkering with them and changing them up, but then I realise it's more effort than it's worth and I don't bother. Plus I really like the two intros that I currently have. Next question from Aki Kiyakaha. Howdy Jingles, how much salt does it cost to request a happy birthday for someone? That someone being me, turning old tomorrow, so I thought I'd give it a shot and ask. Well, happy birthday. How old exactly? I don't know if you actually, well, you must be here because you just posted the question. So let me just quickly jump over to the stage and check the chat and see if you've put a comment in there letting me know exactly how old you are. This is really going to make a lousy section of the Mingles with Jing. 36? That's not old. That's nothing. What are you talking about? Come back when you're 40 at least. But anyway, happy birthday. Every now and then occasionally it's usually somebody's wife or girlfriend sends me a message months in advance letting me know that somebody's got a birthday coming up, and then I do a mention for them. But it doesn't happen as often as you might think. I'll be doing birthday greetings in every episode of Mingles with Jingles, which I suppose isn't a bad thing. But yeah, anyway, happy birthday. 36. Bloody hell. I can remember when I was 36, just vaguely. I was 36 in 2000. No, that can't be right. 2006. I was going to say 2016. Holy shit, I wish I was 36 in 2016, because I'd only be 44 now. Yeah, 2006 I turned 36. It was a more innocent time. Anyway, next question from Battlefield Bloom. Hello, Bohemian Eagle. Ooh, an OG subscriber there. I've been listening to your older Mingles with Jingles episodes lately while doing stuff around the house. Just puts the playlist on shuffle because you can never have enough jingles in life. This has got me thinking, what's the oldest video that you may still have stored on an old hard drive somewhere? Or is it one of your World of Warships videos still up on your channel? I don't keep my videos saved anywhere. Once they're uploaded, they get deleted to clear space on the hard drive. The reason being, that's the whole reason I started actually putting videos up on YouTube in the first place, because this was 12, 13 years ago, and I just didn't have that much free hard drive space available for my World of Tanks replays. Like when I had a really good battle, and I was playing World of Tanks basically every day, and I wanted to preserve the battle. World of Tanks obviously there's replay files, but the replay file is only good for that current version of World of Tanks, so there's a timer on how long you can rewatch that battle. As soon as the game updates, the replay file is incompatible anymore. So that's why I started recording video of the battles and putting them up on YouTube. And then people started saying you should do commentary on these, so I did, and that's 12 years later, here we are. That's how it all started. So I don't actually keep any. However, you can still go back and see the first video that I put up on YouTube, and it's absolutely terrible. It's called Type 59 Action. So this was back in the days of the Type 59 plague in World of Tanks. And it was a pretty good battle that I had in the Type 59. But the production quality is awful. It's the original version of World of Tanks before they did the big graphical update, so it looks terrible. I have no idea how to do a commentary. You can barely hear what I'm saying with the audio levels. A problem which sometimes still persists to this very day, I have to confess. But it's still up there. Type 59 Action came out June, I don't know, 2002, something like that. No, it wouldn't have been that early. But 2012, bloody long time ago. So it's still there. Next question comes from Tank 50 US. Oh, and also when you read the comments of that, there's always "Hello, time traveller here from the future." It's the latest comment, which will probably happen again today now that I've mentioned the video. Anyway, moving on. Next question from Tank 50 US. Dear Overlord Jingles, how are the kitties? And how goes the guard challenge? Well, the kitties are fine. Although Akatsuki's had a bit of a sort of skin problem, which I was getting kind of worried about. She was biting at her fur and constantly scratching, so the first thing I thought was, ah shit, fleas. Took her to the vet, after it didn't go away. But I mean, I don't see how she could possibly get fleas. She's an indoor cat. They're both indoor cats. They never go out. And if Akazuki has fleas, then you know, Juzi would have fleas and I would have fleas, but it was just Akazuki. So I took her to the vet had a good look. Couldn't find any evidence of fleas. No eggs, no live fleas, no flea detritus, no flea dirt, no nothing. But just to be on the safe side, he gave her a steroid shot. And then I bought some stuff to spray around the house and so on and so on. The steroid shot cleared it up. She's been fine ever since. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't fleas. Thank God. Don't really know what it was, but she's fine. And the guard challenge, oh yeah, this was the Warhammer 40k guard regiment thing. No, of course I haven't done anything. I've got video games to play. I haven't actually picked up a paintbrush, I think in about 2 years now. The only good thing is I haven't added to the pile of shame. You know, the pile of shame, the undone model kits hasn't actually gotten anything. Although I've been looking at my great unclean one, my Nurgle champion, and thinking that could use a coat of paint. Same with the pulse rifle, the 3D printed pulse rifle and motion tracker. Because after going to see Alien Romulus, I suddenly got very, very into aliens again. And remember that I have an unassembled 3D printed pulse rifle that could really use putting together and painting. But I mean, I'm sitting here saying, oh, yeah, I should do that. I know I won't. The only thing that would, at this point, I think the only thing that would prompt me to actually pick a paintbrush up again and get back to work would be if my internet went down for a week. I'd be forced to find something else to do. Oh, he's got a real question. Here we go. Now the real question. Would you play a multiplayer game where you get to design your own warship? There is a multiplayer game, Ultimate Admiral Dreadnought, isn't there? Where you design, oh, he mentions it. Where you get to design your own warship to a degree like the Naval Ops Warship Gunner series or Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. I personally see such a game being best done as a cooperative game instead of a PvP game. What are your thoughts? Well, I mean, you just mentioned it's been done. Although he does go on to say stuff like from pre-Dreadnought through to modern era, because Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts is, you know, as the name would suggest, Dreadnoughts. You don't get modern warships. Although I suppose modern warships would completely invalidate the whole battleship concept, because it doesn't matter how much armour you put on a ship, the missile's always going to be able to get through. It'd be interesting. Oh, P.S. the M1 restoration. Oh yeah, he's restoring an M1 Garand, isn't he? He only needs a few more parts to complete it. The operating rod, the spring, the gas system, and the front sights. That's quite a few bits. And a few metal pieces. Would you like to see a video of it being shot once restored? Oh, absolutely. I don't know how many of you realise, but I'm a follower of Forgotten Weapons, Ian McCulloch, or Gun Jesus, as he's popularly known. I actually subscribe to him on Float Plane, so I can see a lot of his Float Plane exclusives. I see most of his videos early. And I do like seeing him take these old weapons out of the range and fire them and seeing how they perform. Oh, another PS. I was at level 38 on the 16th. Yeah, 2 years to go. And then you're finally over the hill. And he's edited, I can bring fleas into the home. Ask me how I know. Yeah, I think I can probably guess. The thing is, I never go out. I only ever go to the supermarket and that's it. So, and if it was fleas, it wouldn't have just been Akazuki. I would have been scratching, and she usually would. But, so I'm reasonably sure it wasn't fleas. Because she had a steroid shot and that cleaned it up. No flea treatment, nothing like that. So I'm reasonably, no idea what it was, but I'm reasonably sure that Akazuki didn't. Anyway, next question from R. Ataturk. No, not Ataturk, Ataruk, almost. Ataturk, of course, being, I can't remember his name, president of Turkey, post-World War One. Whenever if you're in the Navy and you ever go to Turkey, generally speaking, when you're visiting places, usually around the Mediterranean, they do warn you if you go ashore, do not mess around with the national flag, because they take that sort of thing really, really seriously in a lot of the Mediterranean countries. But they also add, if you're in Turkey, don't mess around with the national flag, and do not under any circumstances show any kind of public disrespect to a picture of Ataturk, because you will get stabbed. The Turks take that sort of thing very seriously. But anyway, this is all completely irrelevant, because R. Ataruk is actually from Serbia. But his question is, I've recently been watching some of your older videos and the feeling of nostalgia is real. I've been wondering if or when you've considered returning to the beast inside and actually finishing the playthrough. You got more chance of me finishing Alien Isolation. It was a good game, though. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. Games like that are only good if Jingles himself would dare to play them, and I'm hoping to see you revisit the game. Maybe this time you managed to see it to the end. I think, because I was doing pretty well with the beast inside. I mean, it was kind of scary, and I think I was doing reasonably well right up until I got to a part, I think it was in a mine, where you're being followed by a ghost. And if it catches you, you die. And you can't kill it. You can only avoid it. And it was just too much like Alien Isolation for comfort. I couldn't do it. That's the point where I quit that game. It was a very, very good game, though. And I think I saw something, possibly in a Gamescom announcement video, that the developers are doing a new game, which is, based on their track record. It's probably going to be pretty good. So I might have a go at that, if it's not too scary, but we'll see. Next question from NepNep. Greetings once more from the United States. This evening I pose these questions for you. Is Akazuki recording? She is not. In fact, I don't even know where she is at the moment. She's got this habit normally when she sees me speaking into the microphone, that's when she decides she needs to start getting vocal. So the fact that I haven't heard a peep from her as soon as I started recording this Q&A it's very suspicious. She's up to something somewhere, and I'll probably regret it. But anyway, no, she's not recording. Question 2. After appearing on a video from the operations room, oh yeah, I remember this one, recounting your moment of action during the Gulf War, have you thought of collaborating with them, Mark Fenton or even Drakenefell, and sort of war stories with the Mighty Jingles miniseries? It can be about your more lively times in the Navy or historic naval battles in general. Hey, it's not a bad idea. I'd be completely open to that. I do like Drakenefell. And Mark Felton's videos are usually pretty good. He's the kind of guy that tends to focus on, rather than talk. I mean, he talks about like the big battles of World War II and Korea and the Cold War and stuff. But he also tends to focus on some of the more weird events, like that time the US Army and the Germans cooperated to defend a castle against the SS, where you had Germans and American soldiers fighting side by side, because the castle was there was a whole bunch of French prisoners in there. I think there might. I mean, we're talking like not just criminals. I think the French president was actually being held in this place, so real big VIPs and stuff, and the SS were turning up to execute them all. And the Americans got there ahead of them, and they and the German prison guards joined together to fight off the SS and keep the prisoners alive. So he talks about stuff like that, rather than the Battle of Tobruk or El Alamein or things like that. Very interesting, and I'd certainly be open to the idea of a collaboration. Oh, question number 3 here. He's getting his money's worth today. A while back, I had a dream where Eddie randomly appeared in my house, and although he and I hardly knew each other, we hugged like we were old friends. God, I miss that oath, he says. Yeah, I know how you feel. Have you ever had heartwarming dreams or visions like this, where you met with friends and family you once had in your life that are long since passed on? I haven't. Generally speaking, when I have a dream, it's I wouldn't go so far as to call them a nightmare, but I tend to get these anxiety dreams, and they're almost always when I'm late for something. And I'm usually back in the Navy. I get these two kind of dreams where I'm in the Navy and I'm in one place and I have to report to another place. And I plan everything out and nothing can go wrong, and then things start going wrong. Like the car breaks down, the train's late, and I end up having to it's like watching planes, trains and automobiles, where every possible different method of transportation I try and it fails, and I'm never going to get there on time. And the other kind of dream that I have, and again it's back when I'm in the Navy, is I'm the same age as I am, so 54 years old, shouldn't be in the Navy, too old for it, and I'm sure I should have retired by now, and yet I'm still in the Navy, and nobody can tell me when my retirement date is or how long I'm going to have to stay. And they're not so much nightmares as anxiety dreams, and they usually do with being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Probably because I have a habit of always being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or missing flights, or just, I'm terrible when it comes to travel. And I keep having these recurring dreams about it. I say keep having them. It's not like I have them every night or anything. But occasionally I'll wake up really anxious, and that's when I remember the dream that I just had. And I can never really remember the specific details, because you know what it's like. You wake up and the dream's there in your head and it's really vivid. But within 10 minutes you can barely remember the details. But I know that I've had that dream. And it's usually ruined my night's sleep. But anyway. Interesting questions, thank you. Next one comes from Glader. Hello Jingles, I hope you're doing well. I have a couple of questions for you. Do you ever plan on making more videos about your cats? They're amazing and I love watching the videos you've posted about them. You should have a look on, although it's been a while since I've done one, but I do the occasional, and again it's been a long time since I did these, but I do the occasional YouTube video with Akazuki, or Juzi, mostly Akazuki, because she's beautiful. But there's a lot more on Instagram. So if you were to follow me on Instagram, and again, it's been a while since I did one on there as well, but there's a lot more stuff on Instagram because it's more suitable, short form stuff. So if you want more Akazuki, then have a look at my Instagram account, and there's a ton of videos, some really funny ones on there as well. So that's question number one. Second question, have you considered making videos or reacting to replays of World of Tanks Blitz? That game has an enormous player base and is playable on both mobile and PC. I haven't actually. How does it? I don't even know how to replay. I did have a go at World of Tanks Blitz when it first became available on PC, I think through Steam. And it was fine. It was all right. I wasn't a huge fan of the control system. You could tell it was designed for mobile. But which, isn't a problem. It's just that being used to playing World of Tanks on PC and then playing what was essentially the same game on PC, but with a almost completely different control scheme was there. And I just thought, well, I've got it on PC, why would I need Blitz? I appreciate that, if you're playing it on mobile, which is where it's intended to be played, it's completely different, and that's fine. But, I mean, one, I don't even know how or if they have a replay system on Blitz. I'm sure if they do, then there's no reason why I couldn't, but I get World of Tanks PC. I understand the mechanics and the way the game operates, and it's going to be different on Blitz, and I don't feel I'd really be competent to do anything other than the broadest, most general type of commentary on a Blitz replay. So, short answer, no. Next question from Minortree93. Dear Overlord Jingles, I was nice last time, so now it's back to the less nice question. You are teleported into a video game of the Discord chat's choosing, not Hello Kitty, oh thank God for that, and you'll be stuck there until the completion of the main game. However, anything and everything you manage to collect in the game gets to be teleported back with you for you to keep. So how much are you willing to grind to benefit yourself versus getting back home as soon as possible? Bonus, if the chat chooses a hard title, it goes on Iron Man mode, so good luck. Well, that would depend entirely on the game that Discord chat chooses. If it was World of Warcraft, I'd probably never leave. It depends on the game. But I know my Discord chat. I know my subscribers. and I know exactly which game they'd choose, because they're all evil bastards. And so I would do anything possible to get out of alien isolation as quickly as humanly possible. In fact, I would probably spend the entire game cowering under a desk, shitting my pearly pink panties, because I know what you evil bastards are like. But thank you for the question. You lot do like to watch me suffer. Anyway, next question from Yamatalk2. In episode 540 of Mingles with Jingles, and that was last month, August, you talked about the game Kingmakers. Oh yes, so Kingmakers is it's kind of like Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 3, where you go back in time to the Middle Ages, but you have modern equipment. So if you like the idea of modern armies taking on medieval fantasy armies, I highly recommend. Why is somebody always manages, without fail, every time I do one of these Q&As, somebody always manages to spin it around to anime. There's weebs everywhere. He highly recommends the Japanese novel manga anime series Gate, So the Self-Defense Force fought. It's about a fantasy empire that, after numerous successful invasions of other worlds via portals known as gates, decided on the next conquest. Blah, 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 blah. Blood and gore, same as Game of Thrones. And the author's actually a former member of the Japanese Self-Defense Force, so you can expect military authenticity in terms of equipment and procedures. Oh, well, that's a plus, I have to admit. But, yeah, I don't know where. Well, I was going to say, I don't know where people get the idea that I'm a weeb from. I know exactly where people get the idea. It's Girls and Panzer, isn't it? But Girls and Panzer was an outlier. It was awesome. It was, although it wasn't really that much about the tanks, I have to admit, and I still enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, it was about the tanks, but there was usually like one tank battle montage in each episode, and most of the episode was just the girls getting into trouble and talking and stuff, and I kind of enjoyed all of that. I don't know, maybe I would enjoy it. I don't know, maybe I am a weeb and I'm just living in denial. But anyway, that's Gate, So the Self-Defense Force fought. If you like the idea of modern armies taking on medieval and fantasy armies, there's one for you. Next question comes from Dusty. Oh, actually, before we get on to Dusty's question, what was it? In the Horizon, exactly the same sort of thing. In the Horizon Forbidden West videos, which recently concluded, such a good game, by the way. There was one guy that every time this video came up, I can't remember his name, but every time one of these new videos came out, he would put an extremely detailed and well-written and huge comment in. And the first paragraph or two usually contained some really good insights into what had happened in that day's Horizon Forbidden West video. You know, he was smart, he was paying attention, he noticed things, he was good, but it was a trap. Because I'd be reading his comment and thinking, oh, this guy's been paying attention, he knows what he's talking about, oh, he's making some very good points. But it was all just a trap, because the second or third paragraph was, bearing this in mind, you might like to play Nier Automata. And then the rest of the comment was just extolling the virtues of this game. And I fell for it every single time a Horizon Forbidden West video went up, because I never remembered what the guy's name was. And so I was, you know, my guard was down and I wasn't paying attention. And I was, oh, this is a good comment. Oh, it's him again. Every video without fail. So anyway, yes. Anyway, moving on to Dusty's question. Hello, Jingles. I've been wondering, do you have or have had any interesting hobbies? Counting out the obvious with gaming. Well, I used to play airsoft until I got too old and fat. Which airsoft was a lot of fun, actually. I mean, they say you don't stop moving around because you get old. You get old because you stop moving around. And there's a lot of truth to that. It did keep me fit and healthy. And I definitely did start putting on the weight and getting older and fatter once I stopped. I should probably... You see, unfortunately, the place that I used to play at, Combat South, which was one of the best airsoft sites in the entire country, they were forced to shut down because the land that and the stuff that they'd built on that site, by the way, we're talking like, you know, regular construction projects. They built forts, big, big forts with layered defences, and so they spent well, they didn't do it for free, and a lot of the players would chip in to help them with the construction. But the stuff that they built up there was amazing. I mean, there's a reason why this was one of the best airsoft sites in the country. But the land that they rented to run the site got sold to a property developer, and the forest is getting cleared and cut down, and they're building a housing estate up there. So right now, if I was to get back into airsoft, I think the closest airsoft site is a place called 01, which is another very good airsoft site, but it's all the way up in Southampton, and public transport. Carrying a bunch of replica guns around, not a good idea. Aside from the whole pain in the arse of getting to and from Southampton every day. But yeah, no. So there's very little chance I'm ever going to get back into airsoft, which is a real shame because I really did enjoy it. And I've still got a lot of my airsoft stuff. I gave most of it away. I mean, I had so many airsoft guns. I've kept all of my pistols though. I've got about 30. Mostly Colt 1911s, although there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there as well. But the only rifles that I kept were my gas M1 Garand, because it's an M1 and they're amazing. My M14, my Scar H, my AK-74, my AK-47 SU, and my MP9, which is a gas MP9. Aside from that, I either gave away to other airsoft sites or other players. Pretty much everything else I owned. Any other interesting hobbies? I used to do archery when I was in the Navy, which is a really, really niche sport, and I wasn't that bad at it. And also fencing. I took up fencing when I was down the Falklands for the first time, and I've told stories about that. And again, I was actually... It's weird because it probably won't come as a massive surprise to anybody to know that I'm not really into sport. Sitting here playing computers and playing video games and crap on the internet, it's probably not surprising that I'm not really into sports, but it's just that it's team sports, competitive team sports, that I'm really not much of a fan of. Individual sports that use weapons, I'm quite into, and I'm actually pretty good at. I know, big surprise. But other than that, no, I don't think I've ever really had any weird or interesting hobbies, aside from airsoft and weapons-related sports. I was a pretty good shot as well. Actually, earned my marksman's badge when I was in the Navy too. Which, I mean, we're not talking sniper's course or anything. It's not that difficult to earn a marksman's badge. You do your annual personal weapons test, and you get a score out of 55. And to qualify for marksman, you just have to get 50. I say just, I mean, it's not easy, but you have to score 50 or higher out of 55. So, I could do that. But these days, my eyesight's going. So I was a pretty good shot. I doubt I still am. But anyway, he's throwing in an edit here. I think there's one to the north, and I was talking about an airsoft site. One on the north of Portsmouth near. That'll be Combat South Urban. That's up at Fort Widley, which is one of the Palmerston's Follies. So back in the Napoleonic War, there was a real fear that Portsmouth was going to be invaded by the French. And so Lord Palmerston had, at massive expense, a whole bunch of forts built around Portsmouth. There were some ring forts out at sea, and then on the hills surrounding Portsmouth, there's about 4 star forts. So that even if the French got through the forts out at sea, even if they beat the land defences, they wouldn't be able to get out of Portsmouth because Portsmouth was surrounded by these forts. And it was a colossal waste of money because the French never invaded. I think they invaded the Isle of Wight, just to the south of Portsmouth in the Channel, but they didn't stick around. They raided it and then they buggered off. And a lot of these places, I mean, they're in use, but they have been used by commercial businesses now. One of them's a horse riding club, and Fort Widley is being used for live action role play and Combat South Urban. So Combat South do still have a gaming site. I mean, they just don't have the Woodland site, and the Woodland site was, I mean, the urban site isn't bad. You're fighting inside a Napoleonic fort, but there's a limit to the amount of variety in the games that you can have up there, because it's not like you can change anything. It's a Napoleonic fort. You can't rebuild it. Whereas the Woodland site was the place that really put their name on the map. So they still have that, but again, getting there, because it takes an hour to get there by public transport. because it's basically just around the corner from the QA hospital that I have an appointment with. A post-operation check on my cancer thing on Wednesday, I believe. Don't worry, completely routine. They just let me know how the treatment. I mean, I know how the treatment went. It went fine, but I have to do a check-in after my cancer surgery. And the Fort Widley in the Combat South Urban site is just next to the hospital. Real pain in the arse to get to, and not a good idea to be getting onto public transport with a bunch of replica weapons. So yeah. Anyway, thank you, Dusty. Let's move on to the next. Oh, it's a Rorix 78. Oh. Here he is. Hello, Tom. How you doing? Hi, Mighty Gnome Overlord. Due to the new Fallout TV show, I finally downloaded... Yeah, the TV show was very good. I finally downloaded Fallout 4 after having put it off for years. I was 180 hours in, and he's not even been to Diamond City yet. My question is, do you have plans to play Fallout 4 again anytime soon? I don't know how many hours I've put into Fallout 4. I've played through it multiple times with all kinds of different mods. I've probably got at least 600 hours. The only reason I would go back to Fallout 4 at this point is to finish Fallout London, because Fallout London's amazing.
I'm not sure I got what you meant.
I don't know if you caught that. I mentioned Fallout 4, and for some reason Alexa thought I was talking to her. And she is not sure that she understood what I meant. Bugger off. I don't even dare say her name, otherwise she'll try to order something for me on Amazon. Right, anyway, where were we? Yeah, Fallout London, which has apparently been really, really well received. This was... Obviously, I mean, just in case there's anybody out there who doesn't know what Fallout London is, it's a huge fan-made mod for Fallout 4. And it came out, well, it was... You might suspect Bethesda of completely... Because they hadn't updated Fallout 4 in years, and then suddenly they did a sort of... I don't know even what they called it, but a massive compatibility patch for Fallout. Something like the week before Fallout London was due to be released. Suspicious timing, which of course meant that Fallout London got delayed by a month or so in order to try to ensure that it actually worked with the patch. And I don't think it did, because if you're going to play Fallout London, there's a specific version of Fallout 4 that you have to use, not the current version available on Steam, but you can get it all from Good Old Games. But yeah, it's the only reason I would go back to playing Fallout 4 now, because I've played that game to death. But the Fallout London is apparently really, really good. Although I did get stuck at the beginning on my first playthrough, because I'm an absolute bloody idiot and I went the wrong way. Ended up in a dead end thinking, how am I supposed to get through here? You're not. It's a dead end. Backtrack. Take the underground exit like a normal person, you bloody idiot. So, yeah. But at the moment, Star Wars Outlaws is taking up all of my attention. But I've got Fallout London in my back pocket for when I've got nothing else to do. And I've also got Baldur's Gate 3 in my back pocket for when I've got a lot of stuff in my back pocket for when I've got nothing else to do. Star Wars Outlaws is it grows on you. It's one of those weird games where the first 2 hours, the tutorial section, is kind of shit, which is not good, because you want that to be the best part of the game, because you're trying to interest the player. But once you get out of that, it opens up, and it's actually... I mean, my first video on Star Wars Outlaws was not completely awful. And it's actually... I would have given the first 2 hours maybe a 6 out of 10. But once you get out and into not even the full open world, that probably goes up to about a 7.5 out of 10. It's actually really nice. But enough of that. We're moving on to the next question. How are we doing for time? Half an hour in. Okay. So that was a Rorix 78. Volker 802 says, top of the morning to you. I don't know if you've answered this before, but are you open to posting War Thunder replays? I have answered this a couple of times. I'll give you the short version. I cannot watch War Thunder replays because my War Thunder account got hacked. I logged in one day and realised that's not my name. Somebody's changed my name. All of my tanks and aircraft and stuff were still there, but somebody had been logged into my account. So the only thing that you can do then is shut the account down. And because my War Thunder account was created under my old email address, I couldn't. Long story short, and I've been through all the options, and I'm not going through them all again, but I cannot regain access to my War Thunder account for all kinds of very complicated reasons. Gaijin have been contacted multiple times, and they just never do anything about it. And unless you can log in using your credentials, you can't even access replays. So, yeah, no. War Thunder, so long and thanks for all the fish. No more War Thunder until I get my War Thunder account back. And Gaijin have apparently zero interest in actually replying and responding to customer support tickets. So until that happens, and hell will probably freeze over first, I can't play War Thunder, and I can't even watch a War Thunder replay. So there will be no more annual War Thunder videos. Next question from Yang Wee Lee. Hello, Mighty Rear Admiral. On Wednesday, it's my birthday. Oh, 25. Wow. Wow, that's young. Also, my questions for the month. Happy birthday, by the way, for Wednesday. I've been in your country last month. Do you British peeps ship money to afford all of that? Have you ever tried ramen? Afford all of what? What do you mean? Are we talking about food? The thing is, there's a reason why the British have a reputation for having shit food. It's because for a lot of time we did have shit food. Mostly as a result of rationing from World War II. That's mostly where the reputation... I mean, you know, we were never particularly adventurous. The French made fun of our culinary skills for a long time before the Americans turned up in World War II and confirmed it. But the thing is, in World War II, because we were on rationing, like, it was amazing the things you could make with turnips, let me just put it that way. And because the Americans didn't want to impose any kind of drain on our economy, they brought all of their food with them. So, you know, they were having steak and eggs for breakfast, and we were having turnip soup. And when the Americans would go out of their bases at night, into the towns for a good time, they basically just wouldn't eat because the stuff that we had was shit because we were on rationing. So that reputation of British food being terrible was entirely justified, because it was. And then even after the war ended, we were still on rationing until the early 1950s. And people had just gotten used to having boring, dull, shit food. And it wasn't until the 1970s, and I can't remember the name of the Besta was the name of the company, they started doing packet curries. And they were terrible, but they were amazing compared to what we were used to eating. And that kind of kick-started the whole idea of, wow, foreign food's actually quite nice. And these days, you can get amazing food in this country. It's all just mostly not British. But it's not cheap. Mostly because of, well, I mean, I think food prices have gone up 20% in the last 2 years. Everything is more expensive. But it's not just here in Britain, it's the same all over the world. Let's have a look at what the rest of his questions were. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's talking about public transport in the first place. Yeah, I know, it's not cheap. Everything costs more these days. Then food and other stuff. I have tried ramen. How did I like it? There's a Japanese restaurant in London. Actually, that was where I tried ramen. It was in London. It was at Waterloo train station. I was waiting for a train connection to get back from somewhere back home, and I had an hour to go. And there was a ramen place on the balcony overlooking the main train concourse, and the food there was amazing. I can't remember exactly what it was I had, but there was big, like, udon noodles. I think it was a miso soup, big chunks of pork, a boiled egg. It was just amazing. I could have sat there and eaten all day. And Rita actually there's a ramen dish that she does if I've been very good and she decides she's going to cook. There's a couple of dishes that she does. She's not particularly adventurous. She's the kind of person who is incapable of experimenting with food. It's not written down in a recipe. She doesn't know how to do it. But this ramen dish that she does is really, really nice. So yeah, I have tried ramen and it is very good. Next question. Oh, same person, different comment. Chinese spicy curry. I'm not a massive fan of Chinese curry. I much prefer Indian or Malaysian or Singaporean or, well, basically, or even Jamaican. Jamaican goat curry is really good. I'm not a huge fan of Chinese curry. I love Chinese food, just not their curries. And third question, if there's enough support, would you go and make an OnlyFans profile with all the living things in the house? I don't think so. P.S. Gate is a trap. Oh, he's talking about the Kingmaker style, going back in time with modern weapons thing. It's fun, but I doubt you'd appreciate a 900-year-old teenager looking like gothic Lolita making sexual advances to a guy after swinging a giant. Yeah, you see, I know what you weebs are like. Thanks, Yang Weebly. Thanks for the warning. Yeah, that's it's the same as the comments on the Horizon Forbidden West videos. You bloody weebs. You try to entice me in there with promises of something that you think I'll like, only to have some 18-year-old gothic Lolita having sexual... You know, I know what you're not... Seriously, weebs. You can't trust them. There would normally be another 10 minutes or so of this. Unfortunately, for some bizarre reason, that's where my microphone decided it was going to cut out, and so it didn't actually get the audio from the rest of the Q&A. But if you turned up live, you got to experience it in all of its glory. And also, when I did finish recording for YouTube, what I tend to do for the people that were able to turn up live on the Discord is I run through a good 15 minutes or so of additional questions. But unfortunately, as far as today's episode of Mingles with Jingles is concerned, that's just going to have to be it. Notwithstanding the recording error towards the end, I hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.